So most business owners struggle for years to crack the YouTube algorithm, but William Brown manages to make 466,000 US dollars every single month with one simple YouTube funnel that's so easy that it almost seems too good to be true. So I spent months studying William Brown's business model and his funnel, and I discovered, similarly to what you will have noticed, is that he doesn't use any fancy editing, he doesn't use any equipment, and he doesn't have some large content team. It's literally just him making all of it. So when it comes to Will's success on YouTube, it really breaks down into a three-part system that we call the educator funnel, that literally anyone can replicate and see success in their business. So when I first started my YouTube channel, I was obviously at complete zero and I didn't have a personal brand before. I now have 1.1k subs, which isn't a lot, but for a business owner, it's pretty good. And it has allowed me to sign multiple high ticket clients in a very short space of time. And that's purely from organic. So in the next few minutes, if you watch this whole video, you're going to learn the counterintuitive approach that Will takes in order to create all of his YouTube content. You're going to find out how he converts those viewers into high paying clients, which are likely paying him 5-figure sums. And of course, I'll also break down the simple sales page framework that Will is using in order to generate those leads for his business. And a quick ask before we do get into it: if you enjoy these videos at all, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel, tell me what you think of the videos, tell me what you think of this format. And yeah, I'm always trying to improve. Before we go into the step-by-step guide of how Will Brown makes 466k per month with YouTube and a simple sales funnel at an 87 profit margin. But before we go into that, I wanted to explain the most common mistake that business owners on YouTube are making right now and how you can rectify it. So on one side of the line, we have something called stars. So these are people like Mr. Beast, PewDiePie, KSI, whoever else, I don't know, the Sidemen. I don't watch that kind of stuff, but you have those people on this side of the line that optimize for views, they optimize for likes, they optimize for shares, they optimize for followers, subscribers. Basically, it's all about maximizing numbers, maximizing retention, maximizing everything but their revenue. And so this is obviously where most business owners get stuck. If they even achieve the views, the likes, the shares, they still get stuck in this area where they don't really know what to do next because they're not getting clients. They're just getting unqualified leads, and their entire audience is basically just full of people that won't buy from them. So how do you come onto the other side of the line rather than someone who just wants to abuse the algorithm in order to get as many likes and shares and followers as possible? Instead, you sit on this side of the line where you establish yourself as a niche business owner or a niche problem solver. And so what does this actually mean? This means that your content is targeted. You don't care about virality. So you're not interested in views, likes, and shares to a degree. And you're not actually dependent on things like YouTube monetization, AdSense, brand deals, anything like that. You are simply using YouTube as a vehicle for your business. So now that we understand the most common mistake that people are suffering from, how do we actually rectify this? What we do is we put in place something called the educator funnel. This is the exact funnel that William Brown is using in order to take people from YouTube to being a paying client and a fan of what he does. And so what does the educator funnel actually look like? So surprise, surprise, it's going to take a funnel shape. And what we have here is the top of funnel, the middle of funnel, and the bottom of funnel. And this spreads out, just change the color here. This spreads out into attract. In the middle of funnel is educate, and at the bottom of funnel you're going to be converting people. So these three pillars will obviously differ between different companies or different businesses, but in Will Brown's case it's going to look like YouTube organic and then a small part of LinkedIn, X, and Instagram. Then for educate, it's again going to be YouTube, and then finally for convert, it's the sales page to sales call. So now that you understand how an educator funnel works and the anatomy of that funnel, let's go into detail and actually break down what that looks like in William Brown's case. So to look broadly at Will's YouTube funnel, we've got the top of funnel content here. So the purpose of this top of funnel content is obviously to attract new viewers to his page or his channel. Now the purpose of the middle of funnel content, as explained previously, is to educate those people, and then finally at the bottom, this content is facilitating the conversion process. So taking people from already being educated, familiar with his offer, with his value proposition, then taking them to actually either booking a sales call and closing on that sales call. So let's go into a bit more detail and break down these strategies. So you can see I've used vidIQ to highlight some of the outliers on Will's channel. And so how do we actually go about making a top of funnel YouTube video? Well, the three main aspects of the top of funnel YouTube video would be the packaging. So the thumbnail, the title, and then of course the actual idea itself. So what makes these videos actually clickable and get views? Well, it's the pairing of the thumbnail with the title. So generally we don't want to be duplicating things in our thumbnail and in our title. Instead, they have to be complementary to one another or antagonistic to one another. So in this case, the title is all about wealth and exiting a company, but the thumbnail is clearly just a guy with a coffee. And so the contrast between that is what gets people to click on that over someone else's video. Now, of course, the idea itself of making millions of pounds or millions of dollars by selling to a private equity firm is enough to click on anyway. Now, similarly, why are people actually clicking on this video? It doesn't have any crazy thumbnail. It's not got any crazy editing. So why does it have so many views? Of course, the title speaks for itself, and that's something that really drives a dream outcome for people. But the thumbnail does so much to contrast the title. Obviously, you can see subtle displays of wealth in the thumbnail, but generally speaking, this is just a guy holding a coffee. And so the contrast between the 16.4 million and the thumbnail is what gets people to click. So a lot of the time people misinterpret this strategy as just not putting any effort in, and you just take any frame from the video and it will work. But the reason that it works so well for Will is not only the contrast between the title and the thumbnail, but also the fact that the thumbnail has more thought than you realize. Just because it doesn't have text, just because it doesn't have crazy Photoshop on it, doesn't mean he hasn't put thought into the thumbnail. He's decided on his background to have that ClickFunnels plaque. He's decided to have the watch. He's also made it a conscious decision to have the Dubai skyline in the background. He could have easily just had a stupid background like I do. But instead, he's intentionally done that so that people actually click and watch to the end, because it makes him more believable. It gives him authority. And then one final thing to touch upon with top of funnel content is the 3-element formula. And this is basically a go-to if you don't know what the hell you're doing with thumbnails. So element 1 here is Will. Element 2 is the text, and element 3 is the background or the whiteboard, however you want to perceive it. And this tends to make for easy on the eye thumbnails. Okay, cool. So now we know how to make a top of funnel video. It has to appeal to the mass market. You have to get your thumbnail right, you have to get your title right, and you have to get the idea right. But what's the actual purpose of this? So obviously we want to progress people into the middle of the funnel. So what someone will believe here is completely different from what someone will believe here. So now there's significantly more trust, there's significantly more authority, and there's significantly more buy-in. So what does buy-in actually mean? Well, the person that's watched that top of funnel video, like making 10K a month ASAP, that person is now going to be more bought in to the idea of starting a coaching business over some other kind of business model like tech, or just continuing with their agency, or whatever it might look like. And so when you get someone to buy into your unique mechanism, or the mechanism in Will's case is obviously building a coaching business, once people are bought into that, then they're more likely to consume your content, continue down that rabbit hole, and start rejecting other ideas and avoiding that shiny object syndrome that you don't really want them to get, because if they get it, then they're going to go to someone else and pay them. So when it comes to the middle of funnel content, things are slightly different here, where you can see a very similar approach. However, the focus or the idea of these videos here is about giving as much value as possible. To contrast that with the top of funnel videos, this isn't actually necessarily value based. Some of it is perhaps entertainment. Some of it is very kind of dopaminergic stuff that just like self-improvement, right? It doesn't necessarily improve your life in any way, but it feels good to watch it because it feels like you're being productive when you watch someone tell you how to make 10K a month. But realistically, a lot of these videos aren't really going to do that much to actually help someone build a coaching business. It's more just kind of understanding the anatomy of one. Whereas it's these videos in the middle of funnel that do the educating. That means that they actually teach you something new. So you can see these recordings from his masterminds where they teach people how they're going to build their coaching business, and then indirectly any viewers that didn't go to the mastermind are still going to get some value from it in terms of how they can actually build their coaching business. And like I said, once you're here, your trust is going to be a lot higher with Will, because you can see he has social proof, so you can see he has other people interested in his service, and most notably he has famous people that make a lot of money also interested in his services and are working with him. He's also increased his perceived authority, and of course he's increased your buy-in into the idea of working with him, or at the very least building a coaching business. Now once you're at the bottom of funnel, these are really just sales assets. These videos are not designed to actually teach you anything, so they're not bringing you value and educating you, and they're not attracting you to the top of the funnel. Now what these videos are really doing is getting you to buy into the idea of actually giving Will money. So by showing proof that his system has worked for other people, it significantly increases the chances that you're going to believe that it will work for you as well. Of course, there's never going to be a 100% success rate in any coaching business, otherwise they're lying to you. But obviously the goal here is to convince you emotionally that it will work for you. So you'll notice that in these videos, it's not just about the exact systems that they're using. A lot more of it is about how they feel. So how has their life changed once they started making significant amounts of money? And of course, the goal there is to get you to think about that for yourself, and then that will emotionally motivate you to actually go ahead and book the call. So hopefully you can see here how as you progress through the funnel, all the way from the top to the bottom, there's going to be a significant increase in your motivation. So this right here is your activation energy. This is the minimum amount of energy or motivation or pain that is required for you to actually book a call. And this is where you start at the top of the funnel. But as you start consuming more top of funnel content, you're probably going to plateau around here until you end up in the middle of funnel and you start absorbing middle of funnel content. You start to learn more about the coaching business, you start to learn more about Will's expertise and building trust. And then you'll plateau again until you encounter one of these sales assets. So something that actually proves that Will not only has done it for himself, but he's also done it directly for other people. And once that happens, you're going to exceed the activation energy and end up booking a call. Of course, there's going to be some people in your funnel that have a catalyst of pain involved. And so when your pain is higher, you're going to end up looking like this instead, where you need to consume significantly less content in order to actually work with someone. And then similarly, there are going to be other leads in the funnel that have much less pain, and therefore it will take a lot longer for them to ever buy from you. And so the problem that we have here is that for the people watching, you're probably only getting the leads with the green line. So people that are in extreme amounts of pain, they're the ones that are booking calls with you. But how do we get the people that have less pain to still book a call? Well, you expand upon your middle of funnel. You expand upon your education around the topic that you're teaching, because a lot of the time people don't even know their own problems or their own shortcomings. So when they're watching your top of funnel content, you're probably making it sound easier than it is. Whereas when it comes to your educational content, you're in fact doing the inverse. You're trying to show people that the concepts that you understand in your teaching are actually significantly more complicated than they originally believed. And then of course, once they're in that position, they're much more likely to actually book a call with you because they see you as the expert. Now, before we do go onto Will's sales page, I did want to touch briefly on his ancillary mechanisms for generating traffic. So those will primarily look like his Instagram account, his Instagram stories, which you can see are progressing here, his Twitter account, and his LinkedIn account. So this is going to be no surprise to you at all, but his Instagram strategy looks almost identical to his YouTube strategy. Of course, it's significantly less effective because his YouTube strategy is reliant on educating people, and you can only really do that in long form content. So the main goal with the Instagram should actually be to get people to enter your YouTube funnel so that they can actually be nurtured or educated and converted into paying clients. It's a lot harder to sell to people on Instagram because they don't consume as much content, they don't trust you as much, and it's harder to build that authority. Now, with that being said, there are ways to convert people on Instagram, and the main one that Will uses is of course stories. So he'll post kind of lifestyle shots, as you can see him here with a cigar, a bunch of rich guys around him. Then he'll mention the actual product he's selling. So in this case, it was a mastermind in Bali. Of course, only one ticket left, so a nice bit of scarcity, and then the actual CTA on the next page with a bit of lifestyle again. And what's really interesting is he's actually listed out the deliverables exactly just to motivate you to actually sign up and pay for that ticket. Now, I'm not going to dig into the written form of content as that's obviously not his main lead gen mechanism, but fundamentally the principles are the exact same. One thing that isn't to be forgotten is his How to 10 Million book. Now, I don't necessarily believe that this solely exists for lead gen, but lead gen is obviously a side effect of writing a book. Now, the reason that I don't think that this exists solely for lead gen is because Will sells to coaches, and there are plenty of people that would buy this book that don't do anything related to actually coaching anyone. And so, of course, you can come from his short form content, written content from his LinkedIn, where he posts kind of lead magnets, but not really. They're normally just CTAs to a YouTube video. Again, echoing that principle of moving your short form traffic over to your long form stuff. So realistically, anyone that does buy this book is going to experience some one-time upsells, and eventually they'll be pushed to book a call. Now, most of the time people are just going to go straight through the funnel to build, grow and exit, which takes them to this new sales page for build, grow and exit. So I'll quickly run you through the sales page here, but in my opinion, this actually isn't designed optimally. So I'll break down my reasoning for that too. So as you might expect, it's a VSL page. Everyone's running VSL funnels at the moment. We've got a headline and we've got a CTA as well as a CTA at the top right. Now, the things that I would change about this, first of all, is that the headline doesn't call out the ICP whatsoever. It doesn't address the offer and it doesn't address a pain point. So immediately the first thing that I would change is this headline. So I would change this from a serif font to a sans font because that's easier to read. Of course, everyone can read the sentence, but it's scientifically proven that when something is easier to read, people are more likely to actually digest that information and continue reading. So personally, I'd also like to see an eyebrow headline calling out the ICP and then a sub headline underneath that would indicate some kind of pain removal or pain avoidance. So for those of you that are curious and like the style of this sales page, this is actually built on Framer, which is what I build on for my clients' funnels. But in my opinion, one of the issues with people that build on Framer is that they make it too flashy. And so that tends to take away from some of the actual meaning of what you're trying to convey with your offer. So in my opinion, this sales page actually looks a lot like a website because there are almost like two different things going on here. It's trying to act as a portfolio and at the same time trying to get people to convert, and it just ends up being confusing. So of course, Will breaks down the 3 pillars of build, grow and exit. Again, we see the 3 pillars of the offer there, or the trifecta. He also breaks down the delivery process into kind of 4 pillars here. So traffic, sales process, conversion and value. Or I suppose not 4 pillars, but 4 mechanisms or 4 phases. I'm assuming that you guys can now notice this, that using a serif font is just not ideal here. I don't really want to read the serif font. It's not particularly enticing to the eye. But of course, the graphics are really useful. So you can see that he's leveraging organic and paid. Paid traffic literally being his organic, but run as YouTube ads. Very simple sales process. The actual conversion mechanism doesn't really have anything to do with this diagram, but yeah, it makes money. So this is something that we actually see in a lot of sales pages, is basically the old way versus the new way. But in this case, it's highlighting what you lose or what you stand to lose if you don't build your business properly. And this contrast, this direct contrast between these 2 diagrams will be relatively effective, but I think this could have been articulated better. Again, the serif font is not ideal for readability, and I think the diagrams could have highlighted more significant differences. Now, the part that I really do like is the effort that's gone into illustrating the case studies. So we can see some of the best ones with Mike Diamonds, Mike Thurston, Oliver Denyer, and Nathan Ellingham. And you can see there's a significant amount of context that's given to these, again in the wrong font, unfortunately. But of course, the video testimonials are really powerful here. The FAQs I do like, and I do agree they're an important part of most sales pages. And of course, once you click any of these CTAs, it's going to take you to the book a call page where he's got limited availability and he's framing it as a business diagnosis call. So this is something that's really key in making you stand out from the competition, is just framing your call differently. So rather than just saying it's a call or it's an intro call, or even worse, it's a free consultation, getting people to take you more seriously by changing the framing of that call and seeing it as more valuable. So in this case, people believe that they're going to have their problem solved, which may be true, maybe not, is a really effective way to motivate people to cross that line. So once people have actually booked that call in, there are several things that need to happen before they become a client. So first, straight after they book a call, they're going to get a confirmation email that's going to get sent, and they're going to get an SMS or a WhatsApp message. That's going to confirm that they're attending the call, and it's going to incentivize a reply or cancel. So their call will be cancelled if they don't reply. But if they do reply, then the show rate is significantly higher. Now, once that confirmation's gone through, they're going to enter into a pre-sale system. And the main purpose of this is to educate that person as much as possible before the call so that you increase your show rate and your close rate. So how does that actually work? What this really consists of is large email sequences, large SMS sequences if needed, in order to provide them with as many sales assets as possible. So if we go back all the way up to the top, providing them with as many sales assets as possible. So educator videos or the sales assets at the bottom of funnel, like your case studies or your system explainers, should be injected into the pre-sale system. So we've got your case studies, we've got your explainers, and any other sales assets. So not only are you going to use your YouTube videos again to get people to convert on that sales call, you're also going to overcome objections. So you want to create videos and copy that people don't normally see that address specific objections that can be overcome in that pre-sale system. And all of this is probably going to happen within roughly a 48-hour period, or even less depending on when that call is scheduled. But the pre-sale system can literally be as many as maybe 6-7 emails in a 24-hour period. Now once that pre-sale system is done, you're going to want to remind them, so again with emails, SMS, and making sure that the booking link is actually available to them, so that they have no reason anymore not to join that call. And so once you've got all of that sorted and automated, so that's happening on autopilot, you're going to get those people on that call. And of course, you're going to have maximized your close rate and your show rate because of that pre-sale system. So if you are a coach or creator looking to replicate this exact system, whether it's on your YouTube channel, your TikTok, your Instagram, or so on, then this is the exact kind of thing that we replicate for our clients. So book a call down below. My links will be in the description. But otherwise, for everyone else, I really hope that you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it valuable, and let me know if you like this new format. I thought I'd try something new. So please subscribe to the channel. Please like, comment, share, whatever you want to do. Right, I'll see you in the next one.